Thanks, yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
Raise your hand if you have a question.
yeah.
I didn't bring my yellow hat.
We're having some people still admitted.
Get to see you in person. I do exist.
All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. This is Chuck Tironi, Ready Conservation Administrator. This meeting is being conducted in person and remote format consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. To further extend the COVID-19 measures regarding remote participation in public meeting until March 31st, 2025. Please note that not all items listed may be in fact discussed, and other items not listed for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This agenda includes those matters which can reasonably be anticipated to be discussed at this meeting. Please note that this meeting is recorded. Hear that right now.
Recording in progress.
And Brian Bowe, Conservation Chair, will facilitate this meeting. Please note that there will be a public comment period at the end of each hearing. Each vote taken during tonight's meeting will be conducted by roll call. We'll begin with a roll call attendance. Brian, can you please review the agenda and take the roll call attendance?
Yes. Okay, I'll review the agenda first. We are starting with a continuation of a public hearing on notice of intent filed by DPW. That'll be followed by opening a public hearing on an RDA for 532 Pearl Street. Then moving on to a continuation of a public hearing on notice of intent filed by the MBTA for 0 Vine Street. That is it for hearings tonight. Then we have some old new business, which we will get to. That includes one conversation on enforcement order. And then we have the usual discussion items. Well, the usual. We have a tree policy update conversation, conservation DPW monthly meeting, administrative report, and then some minutes to approve. Having said that, I see we have a quorum. Call it to order at 7:02. This is the order that we will vote in. Tony.
Tony Rodolakis, member present.
Walter.
Walter Talbot, member present.
Ken.
The Michelle, member present.
Martha.
Martha Moore, Vice Chair President.
Brian Rowe, Chair, present. Okay, so moving on to our first one is 0 Stroud Ave. Mike, you want to give us some updates? Do you need anything presented?
Just first introduce yourself for the meeting, your title and.
Sure. My name is Michael Tessman. I'm the Assistant DPW Director here with the Town of Reading. So our last meeting, we had decided we were going to continue this here. You had a couple of requests, I believe, from us. One was that we would delineate the wetlands in the project zone. I have a memo here that Chris wrote. Should I just read the memo? Have the memo.
Yeah, I guess you might as well. Is it long?
No.
Good. Yeah, well, why don't you read it for us?
Sure. So as a continuance from the Commission's last meeting on February 12th, the Department of Public Works asks that the Commission consider the following points regarding placement of the water fountain located at the end of Stroud Ave. Public Works proposes to install a layer of crushed stone around the base of the water fountain enclosed by a wood timber border to capture any runoff and mitigate any potential erosion caused by overflow from the fountain. A copy of the plan showing this proposal is attached to the memo. So we're showing connecting to the paved asphalt surface with crushed stone and wrapping a wood timber border around that. If erosion becomes an issue due to dogs walking in the area adjacent to the wetlands while utilizing the water fountain, Public Works will install an earth berm along the edge of the fence to prevent any such erosion from entering the wetland area. While the Commission did request that the wetlands be redelineated in this area, or rather expanded upon based on a different delineation from a different project, town at this time will not be pursuing this request due to the cost to have that work completed. And number 4 here, at a future date, if Public Works has a need to excavate the pavement adjacent to the location of the water fountain for other reasons, the fountain at that time can be relocated. The fountain will be relocated and a new water line installed from the current location of the water fountain over to the area adjacent to the existing kiosk on the opposite side of the parking lot. When and if this were to happen, conservation would be notified. So we're saying in the future, if we have any significant work down there, at that time, we'll run a new water line and move it to the new location. Okay. That's
Anything else you want to bring up? Okay, any questions from the commission? You don't have to raise your hand function anymore, so that's good.
What are the dimensions of the crushed stone area?
We didn't put dimensions on there. Where you have that concrete pad that the fountain's installed on, I would say surround that by maybe 2 feet on all sides and carry that to the pavement. Could be looking at something that's maybe 6 or 8 feet wide total. Probably wide enough for
Thanks.
people to come and go.
Anybody else? Only walked it, Tim? Okay.
I had a question, okay, unless you do.
I go first. First, you were talking about delineating and redelineating it. We actually hadn't asked for delineation of the whole thing. The area we were talking about was the area behind the fence. It's a relatively small area, but when Chuck looked it up, it hadn't been delineated past. So it is less. We can talk about that afterwards, but by no means were we asking for them. The second thing, the point behind Martha's question about how far is because obviously it's a structure. And so we always, you have the magic numbers, 25 feet is no disturb, another 10 feet is no structure. That counts as the structure. So we would like to see a plan amended with that distance on it. If it's the dimensions you're talking about, from what I remember, I think it's fine because I believe it was 40 some odd feet, but just you put dimension on, that would be good. So one other thing is when we were talking last time, and I was talking about potential location to move this, it inadvertently got the label Brian's location. Okay. I don't have a location that is the best. What I was saying last time is didn't like this location. And when we talked about it, I said, for example, across the street near the kiosk. But when and if that happens, when and if this resurfacing and you go to move it, don't feel constrained by what we talked about. Just you would be expected to find a reasonable place that satisfies all the needs and then propose that. Okay. You wanted to say something or ask something?
Yeah, I had a follow-up question about the curbing. I was wondering if that was going to be raised above the surface or flush with the surface.
I see the wood timber being flush with the surface, just really acting to retain the stone. Prevent that stone from moving.
Okay, thank you.
It wouldn't be a tripping hazard. It wouldn't be a tripping hazard.
That's good. Anything else, Chuck?
No.
Okay, and the other one last time, the commission. All right, so at this point, I think we should get a motion to close this hearing.
Is there a Zoom component today?
Yeah, you might
That's
want
a
to
good
find out
question.
if some, yeah.
I'm just was figuring walk through it.
It's easier. So.
Yeah,
Is there
but I'm-
anybody-
I'm looking for audience.
Yeah, is there anybody out there in the online land who has a comment or a question? See any?
Sorry. I don't see anyone that's raised their hand. So at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a reactions button and you can just use the raise hand function if you have a comment.
Is there anybody in the room who has a comment or question?
I guess I have a question. In terms of that distance, labeling that distance from the water fountain to the wetland, can we work with Chuck to determine where that is, opposed to hiring a wetland scientist?
You mean for the delineation, not for the dimensions of the.
Delineation, yeah.
I don't think you're qualified to do that. Right? You're certainly not certified anymore.
You gotta be kidding me.
I do not know, Chuck. I'm giving you a chance to shine.
I'm qualified.
Okay. If you would agree with.
I don't know, were you serious or not? I was like, what?
I hate fooling the first.
Yeah, I was like,
Really, the question is whether it's more than 35 feet away.
that's all. I mean, slam dunk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, I remember we were measuring it, it was 47, I think is the magic number.
Something.
It was around 50 for sure. Yeah, it was around 47, something like that. So
So-
we're not going for.
So having said all that,
accurate spot here.
I'm fine with Chuck being the expert. Anybody else have an issue with that? No?
And
Okay,
And I was mostly looking for getting the dimensions of the structure on the plan.
Mhm.
So if the wetland is delineated in the future, we know where that structure is.
That's what I understood, actually.
We can provide that.
Yeah, definitely. Having Chuck help us with that would certainly be appreciated and helpful.
anything else? you want to add? Having said that, can I have a motion to close this hearing?
I move to close the hearing on 0 Stroud Ave.
Stoney, I second. I'm voting first. Tony Rodolakis in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Tim Michelle in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay,
I lost my position.
so that's, yeah, I know, you're usually online. So that's to close it. Let's talk about any conditions. So the one condition we talked about in the letter, which is if it's ever resurfaced, it'll be relocated. From the last time, we had a condition on if there's any change in activity after the initial getting things going, that you would come back to us. If there's any change in the building, you would come back to us beforehand. what other conditions? That's the only two that I remember. Remember anything else that we talked about?
Just dealing with any potential erosion from the dogs and feeding down that grass surface, and
Yeah.
maybe potentially expanding the stone if necessary.
But that's what you addressed with your
Yeah.
gravel and the borders on it. Do you have any other conditions you can? think of?
No, I think it's an erosion control issue. I mean.
Yeah.
The fountain's in, the erosion control should be all set. Just monitor that in case more is needed.
So I'm thinking of a condition. I don't know what the wear and tear is going to be on that. We've all seen what lots of dogs running around crazy can do. So I'd like to have a condition where if we see that there's significant wear and tear, and so it's becoming an erosion problem, we would bring it to you probably in the coordination meeting. And then what time frame you think is reasonable to get it addressed? 2 weeks? So,
Yeah, depending upon what the scope is, yeah.
but it's a reasonable target.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay, well then that would be another one. So having said that, I think we're ready for a motion to vote to issue order of conditions for 0 Stroud Ave. Somebody make the motion, please.
I move to issue an order of conditions for 0 Stroud Ave.
I second that.
Tony Rodolakis in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Tim Michelle in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay, thank you.
He's gonna have an additional question, so Mike's gonna start asking about something else, but as chair, you're gonna allow this.
Yes,
This is your prerogative.
right. And yeah, I understand you had something you want to bring up, so.
about the town forest.
About the access roads, yeah.
Yes, there was an existing RDA from the last time an invasive removal project was done in the town forest that specifically addressed blades, trails, and spurs. And we have more funding now, and we would like to
Amend it.
amend the RDA to go after invasives along the access roads. So this is a map of the access roads. The other page is a map of the blades, trails, and spurs. So I wanted to check in with you guys about amending the existing RDA for this purpose, opposed to going through the process of the new RDA
Okay.
project.
Any questions, comments?
Were any of those access roads addressed in the last time that they did invasive removal?
I don't believe so. We focused on the trails and the areas off of the trails.
Anybody else? So I'm in there all the time. I think that would be great. I'm all for that. Do you have any questions, comments?
I don't. My only comment would be, along the trails, it's a highly used area and it's very similar to the blazed trails also. So both highly used areas. Just if there's any additional conditions that the commission wants to put in because of the expanded area. I think this lower area here isn't part of the spurs and trails. I think that's more higher, like above.
I believe the RDA the last time included some use of herbicides,
It did.
daub and
I
Yeah.
believe
cut and
so.
daub. It might be good to put some publicity out to warn people that that will be happening in the town forest. If they are thinking about going walking there,
Yeah,
they might wanna delay a little while.
they have that sign, I don't know the exact name of it, but that lighted sign that they
Electronic.
use.
Electronic
Message board.
Is that what
Yeah,
that piece of vision?
Something like that.
You're thinking something more in the immediate area of the work, like a forest with a little sign.
Doesn't need to be, it could be any sort of signage just to tell people, herbicides in use.
I believe a condition was that the herbicides were to be dyed and there to be visible, so you could see where they were applied.
Right, but the people wouldn't know what potential impact is and assume it's applied right. Shouldn't be an issue, but it might as well know.
I think if you put it at lot 5, it would cover both entrances. People would see it going past.
Sure. That's an easy. Yes.
Yeah, and then just notification, that might be in the original order, but make sure you notify the Conservation Commission. We have a standard of 72 hours prior, but it would be better to get more notification on this project. So maybe when whoever you have doing the work is mobilized and ready to give you a date, if we could use that date also, that would be great.
Who's doing the work? Is it
It's,
same as last time?
yeah, it'll be one of the two companies that we've been using here, and as we develop a plan and we have to maybe go to bid or get quotes,
So
that's to keep you guys here, or Parterra Essex.
Essex.
Yes, and keep you guys in the loop through our monthly meetings or side conversations with Chuck, and certainly let you know where we're gonna work and what we'll be doing and when we'll be doing it.
Okay, so we should vote to approve the.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. I don't have, I can look up the number if you need it, but if you just voted to amend the order of conditions for the trails and spurs to include the access roads. That would be.
So
Was
what-
it an
what did-
NOI or an RDA?
It was an RDA.
RDA.
Okay, so I move to amend the RDA to include the access roads in the town forest.
This is Tony, I second that. Tony Rodalakis in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Michelle in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Rainbow in favor.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
set?
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Go for it, multiply. Okay. Okay.
Next on the agenda.
It is 532 Pearl Street. I read the blurb.
He's sitting outside the wall.
You wanna,
O'Neill, yeah, you're in, yeah.
Oh, all set, gentlemen? Oh, you don't want
So we're gonna introduce it first, yeah.
Sure.
Should we sit?
Anyways, okay, yeah.
okay, you can bring up the plan and I'll read the book. All right, 532 Pearl Street, we're opening a public hearing on a request for determination of disability filed by Tom Walsh under the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Paragraph 40, in the Reading Wetland Protection Bylaw, Section 7.1. The applicant proposes construction of a 18-foot by 21-foot screen porch. All of the work is within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The application and plans can be viewed during regular business hours at the Town Hall Conservation Office, 16 Lowell Street, Reading, Mass. And the Conservation Division page and the projects by year. Assessors map 46, lot 58, 2025-2. One of you gentlemen going to present your project?
Yes, my name is John Babuso. I'm speaking on behalf of my friends Tom Walsh and Steve O'Neill. So Tom would like to build the screened-in porch in the backyard. So we do not know exactly how much the wetlands come into the area. We do not believe it's anywhere close to the house, to be honest with you. So we know there are wetlands out there. We do have issues sometimes in the summer and spring with the mosquitoes and insects and stuff like that. Tom doesn't want to spray or use any type of pesticide. We'd like to have an area to sit out back to enjoy the outside area for his kids and grandkids. So it's relatively a small project relationship to the size of the lot. And it's actually 16 feet. 18 is a small jog on one side of the existing house, right over there on the corner. So we will excavate underneath it by hand, put in stone with a planting bed on the 3 sides. Would catch the runoff coming from the main house and from the screened-in porch.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
I'm questioning what's at 20 feet and what's at 40 feet. It says erosion control at 40 feet.
Right.
What are you planning to do at the 20-foot line?
That was basically the area of where we would be working. The porch itself, as you can see, is only 20 feet from the house, 22 because of the jog. That would be the very outside limit where we would be working. We're going to put the materials, the lumber will be delivered on the driveway on this side. Any excavation and the stone would be on this side of the house. The 20 feet is, I gave ourselves enough room that we could go out there and work. If we had to put some material out there for the day to stack the lumber, that's all. Strictly the work zone, would not be outside of it. A 40-foot buffer, I figured that was plenty in case it was any type of runoff. If we had a torrential downpour, we would catch all of it.
And what's the construction entrance? Which side of the house are you going to be driving in?
The driveway is on right over here.
You're going to use that for the construction entrance.
Correct.
So you're going to go around the back of the house to get there.
Yep. If we,
I'm wondering if the erosion control should be spread a little further, so like have it end at the shed, so that if anybody's driving through, you're not creating erosion outside the erosion control.
absolutely, we could extend it. We don't plan on having any machinery out back. At the very most, we may need a power auger to drill the holes and a small machine to lift the piers into the holes. These are all precast concrete. We're not mixing anything. They come in a 5-foot section with a threaded rod. The machine lifts it up and puts it into the hole.
So like you wouldn't have a Bobcat driving back there to carry your materials?
Not to carry the material, but something similar to a Bobcat to drill the hole and to put the piling into it.
So I would love to see that erosion end at the shed then,
Oh, absolutely.
so that any Bobcat tracks that are being made don't create erosion going further.
So that's easy. We can bring it straight across to the property line. It's just about the same difference.
Yeah. Well, butting it up against the shed gives you a stopper at the end. Butting it up against the property line, the erosion could just sneak around onto the neighbor's property. So I prefer ending it at the shed personally.
Absolutely.
And in your thing, it said quara logs. Often we use mulch socks.
Yeah,
Sure. I didn't.
that would be an expensive
Yeah, that's
erosion control. But yeah, this is a pretty easy lift for erosion control. So I think even straw and wattle would work in this case.
Okay.
Since that, yeah, you know, we're talking
And
about.
that's the least expensive version.
I'm not sure how much it costs, but it's, you know, sometimes it's all about how to get it out of there. So like hay bale with this situation isn't needed.
Just that we would probably end up with salt marsh hay, right? And then we put filter fabric, but there would be some residue from the hay afterwards taking it out. I know the core logs are more expensive, but you roll them out, roll them up.
Yeah, we walked the property on Monday. Of course, snow covered, who knows what's underneath.
And ice, yeah.
Where the wetlands are, who knows again. But the one thing we were able to do was find what I would call rubbish that should be removed. There are brush piles, there was a Christmas tree, an old spreader, rubber tubing, a wheelbarrow, a lacrosse net. Easy to do, just can we do?
Damn kids talking to get that stuff.
Yeah, I
out
can
of there.
take care of that stuff. It's
Absolutely.
just, my wife doesn't like to see some of it.
I
Yeah,
can tell by
it's-
how it's all behind the
it's-
tree.
Over the course of the winter, I'm kind of a fanatic back there. There's been a lot of brush come down and I put some piles, I pick it up every time. I haven't been able to do it recently, but I put them out back there, so,
I do too.
so that's kind of,
Yeah.
I can get rid of that.
Yeah.
Like,
The goal is to have nothing within 100 feet of the wetland.
Mhm.
So, you know, you've got a long yard there, so it might be that there's a part of your yard that could have a brush pile in it, but figure out where the wetland line seems to be and be 100 feet away.
so how quickly do you want that removed? Just out of curiosity, like in the next week?
By the end of the project.
Yeah, by the end of the project.
Okay, that's very doable.
Yes, we will be getting a dumpster for the job. Again, adjacent to the materials on the driveway, so any material, any debris that's there, we could put it to that.
Else? Okay, I had a couple, the shed that you show in the plan, is that a new shed or is that moved from back where it was?
That shed was put in with a permit, how long
Yes, it
ago?
was. That was put in the fall,
Okay.
and I
Well,
requested a permit and went through the town and
No,
They
it's
had-
fine. I just was wondering, because I saw in the latest aerial photograph, it wasn't yesterday. It still showed there, so I was just wondering what that was. And my assumption is that back where the wheelbarrows are is probably where the shed used to be.
yeah, originally when I bought the house, the shed was closer to the wetlands. I actually moved it to the middle of the backyard and pulled it out of the wetlands and it became not usable. It basically rotted and was falling down, tore it down.
I think it's fine where it is.
Okay,
You want to bear in mind that although your plan shows the wetlands cutting straight across there,
Mhm.
if you look at the GIS, it actually is that's just little like a kidney shaped. And so a spur of it comes down closer to the shed than that line up there. Still fine,
Okay.
but just bear that in mind if you're doing anything in the future that that straight line is not accurate.
okay.
It doesn't matter in this case because it is pretty far back there. One other question, in your narrative, we talked about putting some plantings in at the end of the job. First of all, we typically ask for a planting plan. And we want to see what you're gonna put in and where you're gonna put it, and then we can look at that afterwards. And as far as the plants to choose from, you should take them from the approved list on the conservation pages and understand that we prefer natives, not cultivars. some places define the cultivars, we want true natives.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have idea how extensive the planting is gonna be, what you're thinking?
Not a lot of it. The plantings, we had planned to come out, 2 to 3 feet on the 3 sides of it, except of course where there'd be a set of stairs, just to catch runoff from the roof, and that would tie into the stone underneath the porch. It's type of a dry well catch basin.
Yeah, I saw that.
So not a lot in. We haven't talked to Tom or his wife about what type of plants you get, but we'll certainly.
My
take
wife
them
is
off
very
the list.
specific. One thing is, we're deer resistant back there for the most part. So we do have a semi-decent deer population come through here and there, different times, so. But
Oh, so you meant the animal deer, not your wife deer.
I meant that for.
Right.
So, yeah,
If you could, just put into a simple plan and drawn something, so we can see what you're gonna put in and where.
yeah, I don't think there's a ton of stuff we wanna put in back there, you know what I mean, but there's some requirement we would do.
Well, yeah, the reason it's part of the approval.
Yep.
So we want to document what it is we're approving, so then later on, when we're doing a follow-up and doing a certificate of compliance, we can see you complied with something that was actually written down. So it doesn't have to be mechanical drawings and precise to scale, but just give us something that we can check on, eyeballing it, what have you.
Absolutely. The plants again are to dress up the drainage area around it.
Okay,
In the north corner there, is that mostly lawn grass?
It is lawn, yep. This is the back corner of the property.
The north corner,
Well,
up,
Where,
if I follow the arrow there,
understood.
yeah, where the
The upper
wetlands
right.
are shown.
Top right.
That's your yard.
All the way to the property boundary, or is there woods along?
there's woods, yeah, there's grass to a point, and then there's unused land. Not grass, I don't,
My recollection of the aerial photo, there's that corner of the yard was kind of like scrub brush in that area.
That's what that's the impression I got from just looking at it, obviously without leaves and everything.
The more non-grass wooded area, the better as far as we're
yeah,
concerned.
there's a big area of that on
Okay,
the back.
it's just not shown on the plan, and we couldn't really make it out on the site
Okay.
visit because it was all covered with snow.
So any more questions?
Yeah, we don't plan on grading or doing anything back there. So this is the extent of the work, is the little porch.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to close this hearing, please?
I moved to close the hearing on
Does
532
anyone-
Pearl Street.
Public want to speak?
Sorry.
Oh, you're right, I didn't ask the part.
Is there anybody out there online who has a comment or a question? Please use the raise your hand function.
Seeing none?
Okay, is there anybody in the room who has a comment or question? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close?
I moved to close the hearing on 532 Pearl Street.
This is Tony, I second that. Somebody would have locked us in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Michelle in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian, you're in favor. Do we have any conditions?
Yeah, erosion control will be extended to the shed and the brush piles and the yard waste, and general class A trash will be removed from the property.
And planting plan submitted to Chuck.
Any other conditions? Okay. Having said that, can I have a motion for a negative determination?
This is Tony, I move for negative determination on RDA at 550 Pearl Street.
I'll second that.
Tony Rodalakis in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Tim Michelle in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay.
All set.
So we're done.
All right, thank you. So the process moving forward from here is I'll write the determination. And I'll give a sign off on the About that over, I don't know, soon you guys, is that ASAP?
Like to get it as soon as possible.
Yes, what should we call tomorrow? 10:04. Okay.
And we should have the planting done by Friday. You know, email.
Oh, the planting plan.
Yeah.
I think that's also something that could be done before you plant, we'll approve it, okay? So,
I just soon get it up.
Look it up.
If you want to get it out of the way, that's good to me.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy
Appreciate
your
it.
porch.
How you doing?
See you guys.
Okay, next is 0 Vine Street. So, so as everybody here is aware, they have withdrawn their notice of intent. So our main purpose tonight is for us to vote on accepting that withdrawal, but we did agree.
So, let me,
Sorry.
I just want to procedurally get it correct.
All right,
So no one should be speaking. We should close the hearing. But anyone can speak during citizens open forum if the chair allows. it. So don't set it, I would say not to set it up for people that make comments now. Just want to close this.
okay.
And then whenever you decide to do citizens open forum, then
So
that's
hold
what
on
happens.
for 2 minutes. We'll get
Okay.
to that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Having said that, can I have a motion to close the hearing on 0 Vine Street?
So they're asking, the request is to withdraw. The applicant would like to request that the commission allow them to withdraw without prejudice. So we need a vote very similar to what I just said.
That means that they are retaining the right to come back.
If we were to deny the request, what would that imply?
I don't know. I don't know.
Good question.
So yeah, think through it. You'd have to close for some reason, or you'd have to, the 21-day clock is running. And so the Conservation Commission would have to make a decision in 21 days of tonight, because they certainly are not requesting a continuance.
Okay,
So do we close and then accept their motion to withdraw, or
they're just
do we
withdrawing.
just
just
accept their withdrawal?
Yeah.
Okay. I move that we accept the withdrawal without prejudice of the 0 Vine Street project. Did I get that right?
this is Tony, I'll second that. Tony Rodalakis in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Tim's all in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Rainbow in favor. Okay, so now we can have a relatively short citizen
I call it citizens open forum.
citizens open forum, no less. So we did make good time tonight, so we have some time, but still let's try and keep it relatively short.
Been to enough meetings.
I know.
Thank you for all that you do.
And
Involved.
so, by the way, before you speak or ask your question, can you let everybody know who you are?
Yeah.
Though for the most part, I think we do.
I want to go first.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jim Riley, 87 Hancock Street, Reading, Mass. I just got 2 brief questions. First question is, now that you've accepted this withdrawal of the NOI, what are your next steps?
Our next steps are essentially to wait for them to resubmit.
So there is nothing other than waiting for them. Right.
There's nothing for us to do.
Right. The second question I have, because when this first happened, it was not because of you, it was a fiasco trying to learn it all. If they present another NOI to be accepted by Conservation Commission, what are the next steps?
Well, the steps are the same that were required this time, although perhaps they'll embrace them a little more fully. But there are prescribed things they have to do for notifications of abutters and through the newspaper. We know that was one of the conversations, may not be done yet, but they have to do that. They have to pay filing fees. They have to submit any updated new paperwork to the conservation administrator. We may or may not ask for a site visit. You know, we did one already. I think that will depend on what changes, what the new plan would look like, as to whether we think it's important to get back out there.
Also, time of year when we saw it, it's quite frozen.
That's a very good point. It was cold. So there'll be some decisions like that to make, but the process is the same from our perspective.
So again, just they file. And then there's a period of time that you will either accept or reject their filing in just an estimated time that usually happens.
So they will file and get on the agenda. There is a relatively short time period where we have to get it on the agenda once they have filed. So that's what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, so once they file and it's on the agenda and we open the hearing, there is a requirement through the regulations that we close within 21 days unless they allow us to continue.
And that's a key point is we cannot continue on our own. The applicant has to ask for continuance.
Okay.
Okay, and if they don't want a continuance, then we have to vote one way or another. It may not go in their
Yeah,
favor, which
based
is
on the
why
information.
usually everybody reads the room to see whether they'll get what they want or not.
Thank you.
Lucas Prado, 85 Hancock Street. Again, thank you for all that you guys do, learning a lot about this whole process. So my question is, and once again, I could have misheard in one of the original meetings, but I believe I heard one of the board members, or Chuck say, I can't remember, I didn't watch the video back, that the Conservation Committee does not care or cannot control the wildlife within the Conservation Commission. However, I remember the Bear Meadow dog ban and was just curious, and I opened it up and it says, the commission is empowered to protect and enhance wildlife habitat as part of the 8 interests in the wetlands, so on and so forth. I believe you guys know it. So just curious on an explanation, kind of educate myself on it and everything.
The key point there, our responsibility is not to the critters themselves. It's indirect. Our responsibility is to protect the habitat, which in turn protects the wildlife, because then they have cover and food and et cetera.
So sorry, go ahead. Does habitat also include like noise and vibration?
No, we don't have jurisdiction over noise, vibration, air quality. We are centered around water quality,
Mhm.
the Wetlands Protection Act. And so that's what our jurisdiction is.
Okay.
No,
Just one last addition to that, like the particulate of all this diesel, they claim it's gonna be new, better diesel, whatever fuel, but you're now adding a vehicle, the locomotive there, just spewing out this diesel, be it better diesel, all day long in the particulate. Guess where it's landing? In the conservation lands. Is there any potential concern for that?
can I actually get into that? That feels like.
Sorry.
No, I'm not 100% sure myself.
My understanding of the regulations are that we can't, if something happens outside of our jurisdiction, we can't do anything at the time that the project is proposed. But if there's an effect to the wetland after the project starts, I think there's a provision.
There's an if and an until.
Yeah.
So if and until.
Okay.
With that's the provision, that's what we call it, but we can't prevent someone to, we can't prevent them because we think something's gonna happen. We have to see, and I say measurable, but I don't have a vote.
Yeah.
But you would like to see a measurable change to the wetland.
So just one last question, sorry, just kind of.
We have time.
With that said, we've asked the Board of Health and some other things. Can you guys do or request a baseline study? So you do have something to go off of? Because otherwise, how do you know? Like if you go do the study 5 years from now, how do you know how much was there to begin with?
I don't know. I mean, that's something that we'll have to talk about and think about. Typically with these things, either Chuck will have answers or we reach out to the Northeast Circuit Rider.
Just between you and me, the diesels have a level 4 particulate system on it. So they're probably cleaner than the average car.
I would agree. And as Jeremy Fontaine talked about last night, they have those MEPA standards. And that's when he said that none of the thresholds were reached.
Mhm.
That's when people were confused. Does that mean that conservation can't vote no and whether it matters? So that was a misunderstanding, but there are MEPA standards and they claim none were crossed. They'll have to prove that, of course.
So that, yeah,
Well,
that's, I'm
Sorry,
That's good. That's
is that
what,
what you're gonna say?
basic curious on that, once
They
again,
don't
just
think they have to
evolving the
prove it.
conversation is. First question, is the standard that they're using for a passing train? Or is it is there a standard for an idling train? Once again, like the gentleman just said, they meet all these requirements, but once again, you're now putting a train that was not standing there, idling there for hours on end throughout the whole year. There's gotta be an accumulation of
It's a
that.
valid question. I don't have an answer.
Okay.
There were, even before they withdrew, we had other questions that were open that we'd asked that we hadn't got answers back yet on. So something like that could be.
But all those thresholds, when they say that the commission that we didn't meet the threshold, well, we can check to see if they're under the threshold. If they don't have to meet it, we need to accept it. So if they're over the threshold, then we can ask them to get different review.
Mhm.
But if they're under it and that's proven, then that's kind of where it stops. Your other question about the baseline study, we actually do something called a wildlife habitat evaluation. And that's generally looking at what's out there, plants, animals, flora and fauna, and how it will be affected. What's key about something like that is squirrels, rabbits, raccoons, critters that live on the edge are not going to be disrupted by this. You would want to find vernal pools, something unique and very sensitive, certain owls, certain.
From what I've
birds.
heard, there's been a lot of species of birds that have either come back or been added to the conservation land there.
Well, that would come up, and it was within the commission's right to kind of get into that, if they wanted to, but it was a wildlife habitat evaluation.
And just, I can clarify one thing. When Chuck said that the critters and everything won't be affected by this, they won't be affected more than they are already by having a railway through there. So doing this project won't have a significant impact, which is one of the differences with Bear Meadow, which is one of the things you mentioned before. There was significant impact on the wildlife in that habitat because of moving, dislocation of the populations.
Yeah, if I just may, I hear you, I respect it, but
We can't use that phrase. I heard that 12 times.
Sorry.
last night.
sorry. Right now, a train is passing within 10 to 15 seconds. It comes and goes and it's gone. They plan to put an idling train rolling in, and like us neighbors can attest, the worst trains are the slow ones. Then they're going to park for 15 to 30 minutes. I would argue that rumbling constant is going to drastically affect your wildlife in that.
And I need to
Wonderful
cut you
area.
off there because I think we're getting
Yeah.
too much into.
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
One clarification about MEPA. That's a whole other different agency and that's a whole other different permitting process, and that's more of a large scale coordination. Air quality is one of the factors they look at. So if you do have questions about whether they should be looking at air quality of a moving train or a stationary train, that's a question you could address to the Secretary of Environmental Affairs in the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act office.
Is that in Wilmington? What is the agency that's in Wilmington? Does
That's
anyone know?
DEP.
What?
That's DEP.
DEP? Okay.
I just want to also clarify, we've talked about how we really only have control over wetlands. But we also own property. And we have control over that property, whether it's wetlands or not. And the property you were referring to as Bear Meadow is property we own. It's not all wetland, but it's up to us to manage that property for the benefit of the wildlife.
And as long as Martha's talking about property we own, last night, one of the misstatements was that it's on conservation land. It's not. It's near conservation land. It's not on conservation land. It doesn't change the fact that we have the responsibility to protect the wetlands, but there was a fair amount of misstatements last night.
Can I?
On
Now,
both sides.
You're just pushing it, Joe.
I love doing this. But the MVP project is wet. Correct.
It's wetlands
Okay.
and
I
we
forget-
own a chunk of wetlands,
Hang on, Martha,
but we
let
don't
me-
own the train.
No, I understand, but those trains will be idling above the Abidjona River and vernal pools that Chuck talked about, so
Well, there's no vernal pools out there that we know of.
that we understood,
Yeah,
but
okay.
things change. And when the winter's over, is my point, which you brought up, walking the tracks in cold and freezing weather, and it was that first walk wasn't the best time of weather, we gotta look at something. That's all, thank you.
That's fine.
I mean, if you were talking about a baseline, when the snow melts, actually this time of year, you can start listening for certain vernal pool species or certain sensitive
Yeah.
species. Listen for the frogs. The wood frogs will be out first, then the peepers, then the toads and leopard frogs before that, but
Yeah, but just to tone it down just a little bit, not toning you down, but I want to say that Natural Heritage doesn't want to hear about one spring peeper. They want to hear a robust, if you're recording it, chirping. Okay, just chorus chirping, whatever they do.
We'll go run into the sanctuary.
Yeah, so
We
if
would break
that's great, if you hear that, but if it's just one every once in a while, that's not gonna qualify.
Well, can we go back to the original premise? If they're gonna resubmit, we don't even know where they're gonna do it.
Right.
That's right. And
So
that's how you-
having some of this discussion isn't relevant.
and that's part of the
Well,
reason.
hopefully it helps.
No,
with the
last
closure.
night they pretty much said it was the same place.
Yeah.
If you watched last
We
night.
don't have that.
Excuse me, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Linda Russo. I also live on Hancock Street.
Can you, and you wanted to say something?
Sal Russo, I live on Hancock Street. Two things. When and if they refile, do they have to do it under a new number? Or do they do it under the same DEP file number?
It will be a new number.
Be a new number, okay. Second thing is, in their presentation last night, they talked about idling in it one day, 7 hours. So that's why I think Lucas is talking about having a baseline now when there's nothing versus
I understand.
My question is about the Abidjona River. There's always a creek, except in the hot summertime, right where they want to put this new track. It's where the other track used to be. So it's like right outside our backyard. And that's gonna flow down to the new Mallet Sums area. Where is the connection? Is it the culvert that takes it to the Abidjona? That culvert that they showed the picture of last night that they were gonna redo in
So
the
our
spring?
jurisdiction for a river/stream is 200 feet. 200 feet from the stream itself, top of bank, right? I think it's top of bank, but anyway, from the stream. So it's not a culvert per se, the Abidjona kind of winds along there.
Yeah,
So it's 200 feet.
You're talking about that water along the tracks?
yes.
Okay.
So
Where does that
we
end
didn't
up?
get a chance to review that. That's kind of where we were at. But their claim was that was not jurisdictional.
And that was one of our questions, and we haven't had a chance to
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about that yet.
Okay.
Because there's water always there.
Most of the
All
time,
year
there's
long.
water there, and it's gonna be going
We
someplace.
have an online person that we need, so you know.
What's that?
I was just telling we have someone online also.
It's gonna be, give me stage direction.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to slow you down or in.
I'm just trying to understand the connection to the Abidjona.
Yeah.
And I know, I appreciate what you said earlier, I didn't think of it in those terms, that you're not a what if, you're what's now. And I never thought of that, like if there's an oil spill, that drip pan thing drove me crazy last night. It's
So-
not gonna
So
contain
again,
anything.
that's something that we haven't fully talked about with them yet.
Yeah,
What they talked about last night is what they were proposing.
right,
And we have other questions about that.
right.
And
And to me, it's like the drip pan area closest to the,
I heard you last night, I
to
sat
your
right
land.
behind you, so.
what was that?
I sat right behind you.
Yes,
Oh.
did you hear me too?
I'm sorry,
Oh, I missed you, but you.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so yes, we have other
That is
questions.
just
Do-
really
Do the cars
scary.
themselves have any drippings? So we have questions. This is a hearing interruptus. All right, so when they refile
yeah.
in a few months, then we get to see what, if anything, they've changed and get from there.
Thank you.
All right?
Are we getting our water back from these Abidjona, the wells that were ruined when there was the oil spill? No, we're with,
MWR.
that's what I thought. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Do we have someone online?
Aaron, did you?
So I just have a quick question. My name is David Comito, and I live on Woodward Ave. And I think it may be too hypothetical because of this drip, it has to do with the drip pan. And is the drip pan, so here are the hypothetical questions that you probably can't answer tonight, but maybe you should table respectively. Is the drip pan, once it's established, is it gonna be installed in a permanent location
That's what they said.
so that the train will always have to idle right on top of the drip pan?
That is what they said.
That's the answer they gave me last
Okay,
night.
and the second question is how far in from Willow Street would that be? And I know you don't know that yet, but that would be a question I would ask
So
you
I
to
can
ask.
say, we did have that conversation. I myself, my question was, if you look at the map, Abidjona kind of goes across and there's looks like a spur coming down towards the center of town.
Yeah.
My question had to do with where did they measure from?
Yes.
And it turns out it was a moot question because the distance is much further than our jurisdiction, much further.
Okay.
What does that mean? It means too far in from Willow Street?
It's too far away from the river for us to have jurisdiction. And so there's other things for us to worry about, but it's not the river.
Because you know, that's a question that homeowners would be most interested in hearing because of their, irrational self-interest in terms of where it's located, because there are people right on Willow Street who were adversely affected by this more than.
Oh, and so without going any further, and I think we are pushing it here, somebody in the very first public meeting we had brought up the inherent conflict, which is, from our perspective, we want it away from the wetlands, which of course puts it where?
That was me who
Behind our
brought that up.
house,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we would put it by houses.
Right.
Right.
And the residents, of course, wanted it away from the houses,
Right.
which puts it
That
where?
was me who brought that. Someone brought it up last night.
So I thought you did. I don't want to accuse you without knowing though. But so that is a question that you have to consider.
No, I'm just trying to, I don't live right on the tracks, and I'm just thinking about my compadres here, and that's important, they're important to me. It's the whole idea of not having it near homes, but I just asked, did you ask those questions?
Unfortunately, the Conservation Commission is not supposed to take into consideration anything about except the environment. So it's not gonna come up where they're gonna say, this time, we're gonna
Okay, but at
keep
the
it in front of.
At the end of the day, that drip pan will have to be located somewhere permanently.
They didn't get a chance to
Are
talk
you
about that.
allowed to ask that? I'm not saying influence that, but I'd be curious. That would be one of the first questions I would ask, where would that be located?
So if I can address that, I know last night they said it would be permanent place and therefore the locomotive would have to go to the same spot every time.
Yes,
That's not finalized with us.
yes.
We had the conversation, the beginning of the conversation about a drip pan. Actually, Tim happens to know a fair amount about some of that from his other life. And so we have some knowledge in that area, which we can use whenever they come back to us.
Excellent, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
We sort of ran out of time last night, but
And again tonight.
I'm sorry, but if he knows about drip pans, I'm only saying it because you just said that. Is there any way you could suggest when you bring this up with them to have the drip pan be longer so the same people don't have to suffer?
So
Constant?
this would be us issuing an order of conditions. So that means we can put conditions on things.
Okay,
And it doesn't mean they have to accept it outright, although typically they accept the conditions. Another thing last night, somebody asked, what if the commission votes no? And Jeremy basically said, they really can't vote no.
I heard that.
yeah, they've been very
Right, I'm gonna
dismissive.
get way into this.
Okay.
Like, just into.
But thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah,
All right, but anyway, so.
There's someone
There's
online.
somebody online, if you can
It's
introduce
Kara.
yourself, please.
Hold on a second. Okay. Kara? Can you hear us? Kara Perry? Hello, can you hear us? Man, I'm saying her name wrong, so wrong that it's.
Is there somebody online through Zoom who's looking to speak?
It's not allowing her to unmute.
Oh,
Let's try that.
okay. How about now?
You should be able to. You have. That's has to be your computer because I gave you co-hosting abilities.
Is this something you can ask in a message? In the chat session?
No, I just lost her somehow. Okay, she is. She is. Can you put your question in the chat and we can read it? Or you could call in. Sure, we haven't heard.
There you
from
go.
Here we go.
I'll pass. Okay, thank you. Sorry it didn't work out. And catch us next time. Okay. We need to move on.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Really
Appreciate it.
appreciate
it's not allowing Aaron to unmute as well. I guess her husband was
Have a
trying
good
to.
night.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, this is from Aaron.
Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time. I
Bye-bye.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
The shepherd's hook.
Yeah, apparently. So having said that, that's it for the hearings. So now we move on to old new business. And the first piece of new business is about Chirag. He has asked for a leave of absence. His work schedule combined with his evening class teaching schedule is becoming too much. So he's asked for a leave of absence until the semester finishes somewhere in the May timeframe. So basically, this is informing the commission, that's why he's not here. And we have to vote to accept his absence.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what
Does
decided.
this mean his position can't be filled?
Yes.
I know we still have one opening.
You're making a decision to grant him his leave and we won't be filling his position.
So we're holding it open.
But timeframe?
Yeah,
May.
it's till
No,
May.
when he returns.
Yeah.
May,
Oh,
End
I thought you said yay, sorry.
May.
Okay,
Yay with an M.
so can I have a motion to accept Chirag's leave of absence until the May timeframe?
So moved.
Second. Tony Rolakis in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Commissioner in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay. Now we have violation notices. The one on the docket tonight is 445 Pearl Street. Is Michael up there?
Yes.
Okay. We talked about this before. Michael submitted a proposed amended plan, which Chuck posted. So, Michael, you want to take us through your proposed plan? Chuck, can you? Yeah, so Chuck's going to put it up on the board, then you can walk us through it.
Okay.
I'll let you know when it's there. Well, you'll see it too. But- Okay, there it is. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the original plan. I just marked up a location of there was an existing white cedar timber wall, which I replaced, and I located that on the drawing and noted it. And just carry, and it falls like, and maybe half of it falls within the scope of the alteration, and the other back half is in the original grades. And it's in section as well.
Is there anything else you want to add?
It's also in the section, the cross section of the slope.
Oh, if you can.
Yeah, I showed the position of it in that as well.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, there it is, top right.
Yeah.
Okay, anything you want to say about that?
No, I just wanted to, throw it in there to clarify. It's what it actually is gonna, where it actually is gonna be.
Okay, let's see what the commission has to say. Questions, comments?
Is that, it says existing white cedar timber wall, is that where it is now or where you're proposing to put it?
That's both where it was and is now.
That does not match my recollection of the area.
I do have some pictures that I sent before I replaced all the rotted timbers.
Do you have, did you say you have pictures or?
I had sent those pictures previous on this chain, email chain, but I don't know if you have those, but that's where before I pulled out the timbers, the rotted timbers, and replaced them, I took pictures of to show exactly where they are.
Okay, put that aside for the moment. Anything else you want to say?
No, I can't think of anything unless it's like specific questions or anything like that.
Yeah, we're working on that. Martha, anything else?
Just gonna.
Hang on a second, Chuck has the pictures.
I don't have paired. Talk and I'll try to get these things.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. So it looks like you're proposing to use some live staking with willow at 2 stakes per linear foot.
That was in the original plan.
That was in the what's in it now?
Basically, everything on this drawing, aside from the location of that existing white cedar rebuilt wall, everything else is the original.
Okay. I guess I was going to ask if if you'd also maybe consider hedging your bets by maybe putting in some red osier. That tends to live stake pretty well. I don't know what survival you're expecting with the willow. To stabilize that, but you might have a little better success with or different success by mixing in some red osier. Just a suggestion.
Okay.
And at what point would you be taking out the coconut coir logs?
Those
are
biodegraded, but will biodegrade over multiple years.
Okay, so I guess you'd expect, so plants or something like that to grow into it.
Yes.
Great. Okay. But those would be there permanently to act as a permanent stabilizer until the roots take hold. That's the idea, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, any other questions in the room? Okay, I have,
I'll put these up as soon as they go, so you can just continue to talk, I guess.
yeah, I have one question. So what problem is this new plan solving? What was wrong with the original approved plan?
Well, the original approved plan didn't show the existing. It just shows this, I guess the section shows a perfect scenario, which, in construction, it doesn't, it obviously doesn't address, it's your perfect goal, but it doesn't address the ledge that's there. It doesn't address the tree that's there next to the culvert. It doesn't address all these things. So it's what we shoot for with the existing, I guess, and what just speaks to in the narrative a bit, that pre original grades and stuff like that. But
so which problem you mentioned briefly, a tree by the culvert and ledge and what have you, which one of those caused you to put this wall in a different place, different way?
well, I just replaced the wall exactly the way it was because it had been rotted to the top timbers.
So did you know that you were going to have this problem back when the plan was approved?
Well, actually, I mean, wasn't even gonna touch it where it was in the back section, but I didn't even think about it until I started to pull away some of the material and the wall was there, and I said, "Oh yeah, that's right. This wall goes straight through the tree and the culvert back to the fence." So it had been a while. I had forgot about it.
So what alternative is there to deal with the things you discovered besides putting this wall in?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Well, so you said that there's some ledge, but there was a wall in the exact same place, exact same height before?
Yeah, that wall in the picture there is the existing wall.
And that goes down some number of feet?
That goes down several feet.
And is the top of this wall that's seen in this picture, is that exactly the same distance from the house and from the stream as the one that's there currently?
Yes. Yes, that's why I took the pictures, because when you see it now, it goes directly right by that fence and it goes right to I have a picture from the other view that shows how it goes next to the tree.
So when we were there for the site visit, when we met with you and your dad, I could look down at the stream and this sheer wall went straight down and there was no soil between the wall and the stream, which made me think that the wall was closer to the stream than it used to be. But are you saying you dug out all that soil in order to replace the wall and we just stopped you before you had a chance to put the soil back in?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
where did you put all that soil that you dug out?
The soil just moved to the other bank. Replace the wall, and then I'll be building up the inner bank, the southern bank, and then installing the coconut coir logs stream bed the other side, and then unfortunately the size of the machine, I couldn't reach the far bank enough to really work it from the side of at my house, the south side. So I have to get a longer boom.
Laptop here.
Yeah, my memory of the far bank is consistent with what you said. There was just big piles of dirt and no vegetation on the far bank. And I did not know where that dirt came from. So you're saying it came from between the wall and the stream, and you want to put it back outside the wall in order to get that slope that is on the plan.
Correct.
Okay. And my memory of the original approved plan is that it did not show that little short wall top that's visible in this picture and also visible in your red existing wall marked on your plan. It kind of comes up a slope, and then on your current plan, it goes straight up, and then you've got the upper level. And I don't remember seeing that jog in the original plan. But I didn't bring it with me today, so I can't look.
The jog? I'm not sure.
Okay, on the plan you just showed us with the red existing wall written in.
Yeah.
The soil on one side of the wall is higher than the soil on the other side of the wall. And I did not remember seeing that in the approved plan from 2021. I think Brian's trying
Yeah,
to look up.
I mean, I drew in the wall, which,
And did you adjust the height of the soil surface at all?
yes,
By how much and why?
well, I mean, actually, the grade is lower than that. I took that grade down all the way to the house, a foot, and then sloped it. And then I just carried it up to have it a little less of a incline, a little more level.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about that wall? What's the timber,
White
cedar
cedar.
timber wall for?
What's it for?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just to make it so the grade can be a little less
Original plan.
sloped.
I don't have that picture.
Yeah, see that plan there doesn't have a
Is
wall.
that
show.
a requirement on the
Yeah,
riverbank?
I went out there and I sent you guys pictures.
One side is 2 to 1, one
Email.
side is 1.5 to
I see
1.
that, but I mean, is there a requirement
I don't know.
not to exceed, not to?
What's the question?
No, it's a best practice.
Is there a slope requirement?
Yeah, 2 to 1. It's on the plan somewhere.
Oh, but,
Yeah.
so it can't exceed 2 to 1?
Yeah.
But the
Well,
other
it's not
side
that
is
it can't
1.5.
It's
Because
proposed for 2 to 1. And typically, if it's over that, then you'd have to do some sort of stabilization.
the one on the left is 1.5 to 1, 34 degrees versus 27 degrees. It's steeper on the left.
Yep.
Again, I'm a little confused as to why this is such a difficult project. I've seen a lot of these and I've done a lot of these. This is a straight shot on a 2-foot wide stream. You're putting in a core log and you're replacing the cut with some clean fill, some soil, topsoil, then planting it.
I totally agree.
So I think well, Commissioner, myself, I'm unsure the retaining wall is in the same spot. I don't see the retaining wall going 10 feet down in the ground. And if it did, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how the material got on the stream side. To me, it doesn't make any sense. So that's the base right there. I see stone coming out underneath the closest log. Not sure I see it coming, those logs being dug down to the bed of the stream, which they are now with this new cedar. I also don't see the amount of space between the house and the one of those landscape timber that exists now. There's more space now.
No, that's exactly the same space.
I also see that those trees in the background, they almost seem to be exposed by the edge of the stream. So I don't have the pictures with me, but yeah. That's, and Mike, that's the whole question is how much is there now? Because what's on the stream side of those landscape timbers is supposed to be replaced. And it doesn't seem like that's what is happening out there, and the landscape timbers might be in the wrong spot.
I mean, it's all right off the numbers.
Is that
the
view
slope.
still there in the background? Can we just go out there and look at that? I don't know if that's a holly or whatever that is.
Oh, near the house there, the evergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not there anymore.
I guess
But the
could
trees
say,
to the
like,
left of it are.
doesn't it look like it's the corner of the fence that lined with the erosion control and that? Somehow it's like connecting to the corner of the fence.
Yeah, it goes right by the corner of the fence. I mean, it hits the corner of the fence. It does not, and it did then.
So let me take one more chance at this. So you're saying the wall you put in replaces a wall that was already there.
Yes.
So what ledge did you hit that wasn't there before that caused you to change the plan?
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, so when I started pulling material up, there's boulders that are larger than my truck there towards the back side of this. There's two boulders that go next to each other. I'm just saying the cross section is a perfect situation, but there is existing conditions there. I mean, obviously we don't want to cut trees down that are holding the whole bank together at the culvert, or big boulders that are ledge that are in the brook. So I'm just saying that and it spells it out in the narrative as well about the existing stream bed, and basically the goal is to restore it to the original.
Well, it's restore it to the approved plan. How close that is to the original, I don't know. I wasn't part of the commission then. All I can go against is the approved plan.
Yeah, but the approved plan and the construction documents were all, the narrative is part of that to help, better explain the intent, I guess.
I think one of the things that concerned me was that it seemed like there wasn't enough room between the bottom of the stream bed and the new wall for that 2-to-1 slope. And you're claiming there is, and if there is, then it sounds like you could carry out the approved plan. but I'm just skeptical as to whether that's really true. But also it concerned me that the opposite stream bed got so steep all of a sudden. And now you've explained that the reason it's so steep is because you took your soil and put it on the opposite side. Which I don't think that's a great place to put a bank on top of the opposite bank.
So if I can try and move this along, from my perspective, you don't have any documented reasons that are compelling enough to accept this change in plan. Chuck was asking about, do some trees, they still exist, some kind of a visual reference so we could have some qualified judgment as to whether everything is as it was before. So from that perspective, given that we don't have, I'm going to use the word proof, given we don't have proof, I don't see that there's a reason to modify the plan. Hang on, Chuck's got another picture up.
Move the corner of the fence and the landscape timber about 6 inches away or 8 inches away.
Yeah, and the new location or the new timber is butting right up to that fence. So it's actually 6 inches closer to my house than the actual original. It's
We have reference,
yeah, I mean,
carry that forward. But you can see how the stream side, it has that slope. So what you're saying is that you can, with what you've done, you can recreate that. It almost looks to me like it pinches in closer to the front where the driveway meets the foundation. But at least with this, we could start, just look at what you did and see if, you know, something can be, if it's in the right spot, I guess. I guess that was one of the questions. The other question is, with what we saw out there, how can you reproduce this plan?
so I have the bank stabilized with the wall as part of that. Everything got pushed. So I'm building the stream bed from my side and working the far bank. I just have to bring a longer machine with a longer boom in there to get to the other bank from my side. But there's 16 feet there. And the slope, it's only the difference of 5 feet in elevation from the invert to the side of, from the side of the lot. So I definitely have the room. I mean, it all works out with math, mathematically to fit. And I tried to show that as best I could on the elevation and on the plan view based on the math, based on the slope and the math from the side lot and the distances and the actual distances, the wall and the stream bed are from the side. So it all works out mathematically anyway. It's just the way I did it, it's you're only to that point. So now I still have to pull back and build the stream bed on the south side, core logs, and then dress the north side.
And where would the soil come from to rebuild the south side?
So it's all the existing soils.
That's sitting on the north side now.
Yes.
So you would bring it back over to the south side.
Right. So now, part of the problem was it was not dry.
That's the way streams work.
Yeah. It wasn't dry when I was working it. So it was tough to maintain, it was getting very muddy. So best case scenario is we do it the dry. It's completely dry for quite a while during the year.
Steps.
Yeah. So if we were to go out there to try and look for references, to try and
Yeah,
establish this in something concrete that we can compare, that seems to be the only way to get past the impasse of, because I had the same impression Martha had, that the flat area at the top of the south bank seemed wider. But seems is not a very good standard.
yeah, it sounds like we need another site visit with this picture here and the other pictures that we had, probably in the trees and whatnot, try to figure it out. Just from what I see on site and what I see on the plan, I'm wondering how it's gonna work out.
Yeah, I had the exact same question, how this works. Yeah, you had that.
I know nothing about this, so.
Yeah. So Mike, we're kind of talking ourselves into saying that we need another site visit where we bring these pictures with us.
And a tape measure.
And a tape measure and try and understand the situation better.
Sure.
Do when's it gonna start working again? So if we did this in like mid-April,
Yeah, I mean, I would say it would be weather permitting and, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna be like.
Is that loose soil on the north side? Is that eroding down into the stream?
No, it hasn't moved at all.
when does he wanna start working again?
Yeah, so when do you want to start working again?
As soon as it dries up.
And like, so May, June?
Yeah, I would say it would probably be, the earliest would probably be June. It's usually,
Okay, so let's set a site visit for mid-April. If it's too wet, we'll reconnect and extend that time frame. Are you available during the week?
yeah, I can be available whenever you guys, as long as I have some notice.
Yeah, so let's do it right now. So I'm gonna go to April and I'm gonna look and I'm gonna put it on our regular site visit day. So the commission is used to that, so it would either be the 9th, the 7th.
Or the 21st.
21st?
Yeah.
And so April 7th or April 21st, are you available? I think we're gonna have a conversation about starting earlier.
It's gonna be a Monday?
Yeah.
The 21st isn't a good day.
My Mondays, I have meetings the entire day. So Mondays and Wednesdays, I have a lot of meetings. Wednesdays I can usually make work because the afternoon opens up a bit, but Mondays are terrible for me.
Okay, early morning is better for us because then people go to work after
Yeah.
visits.
So what Wednesday in April works for you? Is there like April vacation, right?
Or what about the previous Thursday morning?
So that would be the 10th, before the 7th, you mean?
Yeah.
So that would be the 3rd.
Yeah, the Thursday, the 3rd would work for me.
We're checking.
It's good.
Walter, yeah.
It's fine.
Okay, so we'll say Thursday, the 3rd at 8:30.
Okay. 8:30?
Yep.
Sounds good. All right.
Okay, I guess that's it for now. If you do see anything eroding to the stream, can you put a mat or something over it to hold the dirt in place so it doesn't move down? To the
Yeah,
stream?
I have a whole roll of jute matting and staking I could throw in if I had to right away, so.
That'd be good to use it.
Yep.
Okay, I think we're good for now then.
Okay.
This is some kind of motion.
Just extend the, you guys can make a motion if you want to extend the enforcement order. Did you say 8:30?
Yeah, 8:30. And we'll get to that time change later. That's a later topic.
Okay.
Okay, so, I don't know if you're still there, Mike, if you are, thank
Yep.
you.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, Chuck's right, we need to vote to extend the enforcement order to give us time to do this.
I move to extend the enforcement order.
For site visit on April, what was
Site
it?
visit on
Was it March?
April 3rd.
Okay, I second that.
Tony Rodolakis in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Who's all in favor?
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe, Dr. Lane in favor. Okay. Next topic is the proposed changes to the tree policy. So the driver for this was our Zero Cedar Swamp conversation. The tree policy used to say within the buffer zone. And it was assuming, it was implying within, going all the way to the resource. The lawyers for National Grid argued that it didn't actually say not in the resource. And town council agreed with them, so that basically threw our tree replacement policy aside. So this is intended to close that loophole. It really is pretty straightforward. He says, trying to make it move. There's two colors in here. Yellow is added words. You can see that every place it has said the buffer zone, it now says the buffer zone or resource area, closes that loophole. There is one place marked in red, well, in the text, the place marked in red under standard replacement tree and shrub policy. And that's where I'm proposing to take out the or cultivar of a native species. That's actually putting into the text what
That was pretty quick.
what we talk about in our meetings is please to natives. So I believe there are 4 places where they
So
added,
what does red represent? Since now I have it on the screen.
Taking away.
taken
Yeah.
away.
Remove and insert, it's yellow. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to have it for the record.
Well, and I violated my own color code because I also marked the date in red. I'm not saying take it away. We have to update it to whenever we approve this, so it's effective when.
And you said there were 4 places where
I
you
believe there's
added
4 places.
resource area. Can Chuck
the
scroll
next
down?
page. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes.
Maybe too much now.
Yep, at the very end,
All right, so it's all the same thing.
hazardous tree protocol.
Okay.
So this will close one loophole. Any comment, any discussion? Anybody? Yeah, question, I mean, anybody question that?
I think it's a good idea. And today is February 26th, so you'd want to change the date to February 26th.
So how do we actually, so we have to submit it to anybody? So just you will do it or you'll have one of your.
I'll make the
meetings do it?
changes and I'll submit them to, sorry. I think we purposely talked about this, but I think you guys forgot. So we put it on there tonight as a discussion. We're gonna put it on our next agenda as a vote.
Yes.
So it will come up one more time.
Oh.
And then it will go to the town clerk and then it'll be all set. All right?
I do have one question. Under hazardous tree protocol, after the yellow highlighted section, the 100 feet of a wetland or pond. A pond
yes.
is considered a wetland under, it's already considered a wetland. Do you mean are you trying to distinguish a pond from a border?
No, actually just left the text that was there. That's a good
Seems like you
question.
want to distinguish something. Isn't it usually ILSF?
I would think if you say wetland, maybe you want to change that to a
Oh, should we?
jurisdictional wetland. That would include land underwater, isolated land subject to flooding.
Is it, this is easy to say in a resource area or within 100 feet of a resource area.
Yeah, that's the language that's been used in other places.
Right, so that way it's saying in it or within 100 feet of it. Make sense?
Yeah, there's 9 references to wetland.
Yeah, because then, anyway.
So you want each one of these as a jurisdictional
Okay,
wetland?
Can we look at them?
For resource area.
I mean, I think so, but let's just be sure it makes sense. I mean, that should stay wetland because it's a list, right? Where did that come from? That come from the beginning of the act? 100 feet of a resource area, that should be. No.
I know wetland is sometimes just shorthand for bordering vegetated wetland, but wetland also has other meanings in the act.
Yeah,
To keep the language clear.
which is good. I'm not changing that one.
So that one is one of the instances where it says wetland or pond.
Right, so that should be changed to within 100 feet of a resource area. So take away wetland or pond.
This one,
So just scoop the in a resource area and put it in replacement of wetland or pond.
do you want me to do this now? Or you wanna just,
I'll mark it up and send it back
Yeah.
out. I'll do that.
I think there's that, and do we wanna capture vernal pools in here?
Resource area, isn't it?
Are they in the list in the introduction?
I didn't see that. Give me a quick look.
That would be the place
There
I
are
would
none.
think we would
Doesn't
add.
mention vernal pool.
Yeah, so I would agree with Martha that in that list, we should add vernal pool.
Right after ponds in the second line. Could be a good place to.
Although
say
it does say such as, and we learned from Bill that gives you flexibility.
Alright, yeah, sorry, work to do.
So
That was actually good though, so.
yeah, that's a good catch. I'm glad Walter caught it.
Glad you're ever with us.
You see, you vote first, you took my place.
Okay, so I will update that and send it to everybody. If you have comments, send them to me directly, not to the crew. Next is the next conservation DPW coordination meeting is March 4th.
As always, we want, if you see anything around town, we do an agenda, so stuff we can mention. We were curious about where the designated snow storage areas are in town, and if any of those are within our jurisdiction. Because Brian saw one on Colonial Drive that he was concerned about.
That was certainly questioning.
So that's like a question that comes up as we're driving around town. I'm supposed to also list out the jobs I want the DPW to do for my volunteers and my projects I'm gonna do this summer. It's another thing that they're expecting, and they'll find time to do that. Most of it's not time sensitive until the crews get here. But then after that, we usually need 2 truckloads of bark mulch or wood chips, some dirt, and equipment, hand tools and things like that to use.
And we were talking about trying to get the plantings in lot 5 watered.
We were. That didn't come up tonight, but from my conversation with Jane and Chris, and he'll remember this, we did mention, is there any way that they could water those during the summer? And either let me use the truck and trailer or have their crews do it.
And what was the reaction?
Jane always wanted to work through it. I don't know what Chris thought, but it was good that Jane was there. I think that, Chris, would want to ask whoever is, has dibs on it, I don't know if that's Mike Hannaford or what's his name? Jeff Cummings, but, once that happens, we would be able to figure it out. I'm not sure we have anyone who's gonna plant lot 5. But we certainly are planting Bear Meadow, and I need to get water out there. And the town forest committee needs to get water out where they're planting, although the DPW has already said they'll do that.
For what, during the planting?
It wasn't my request that I asked them, someone else
But they
asked.
said it's during the planting they water it. I didn't see anything that said they're gonna keep one. Did you?
I don't know, Chris. I mean, I think it was kind of left open.
Just call me Chris.
I did.
I think you did.
We're all in disguise tonight.
So what do you need for wood chips?
So Mike Hannaford has wood chips. We just need him to deliver them to where we have a project.
So
So
what about mulch? Good for that too.
I said mulch. We just use wood chips.
Okay. That's the type of stuff I can
You can source.
source. Exactly.
But the wood chips, there's a giant pile in the compost area.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but if you need whatever.
No, we just need the DPW truck to bring them to where we need to put them.
Okay.
Rather than
Then we
us
have
going with
manpower
our
to-
Subarus and filling up the back. That would be many trips.
Okay, so we're gonna add, talking about getting some watering done to the.
Yeah, this list is a running list, but
Okay.
I have on my desk. But yeah, that's definitely one that we
Okay.
wanted to try to figure out.
Okay, then that's the meeting, March 4th, can you make that for?
I can.
I can too, as far as I can see. That night, there's the meeting at the library for the town forest plantings,
That's Martha's, yeah.
but that's that night.
March 4th, yeah, I'm gonna go to that meeting.
Okay,
Um,
then next is an administrative.
I understand Brian's going to that meeting too.
Yes, we said we would both go.
Right.
I would stand behind you, let you talk species, and I would just.
Right.
Okay,
I have a TBD on my list that I haven't done yet, but I will make sure I do it next week.
okay. Administrative report,
I don't have any news. Unless there's something you want to remind me about.
were you gonna talk about the annual report?
The annual, no, I wasn't.
Really?
No, well, I can,
I
but I think you should talk about it, didn't I?
I thought it was on one of your lists.
Oh, maybe it's off my list because it was submitted because we ran out of time, so.
Oh, okay. So every year we have to do an annual report and usually voice it off on somebody. So I did one and this time I have many more pictures in it. That have to do with the many different things that we accomplished this past year. The odd thing about it is it looks like a Brian Bowe eagle wall. Because the pictures I used were the ones that he sent me. He took them, so I'm in them. So there's an awful lot of pictures of me or me and Martha. So I apologize in advance if that crosses your mind when you see them. But it talks about things like Millet Psalms, talks about Lot 5, it talks about what's happened at Bear Meadow, what's going to be happening. At the end, it has just a listing of how many of each kind of permitting we did. So on the one hand, it's a stark list of numerics. On the other hand, there's a little bit of flesh around some of the events. And at the top, it just talks about what our mission is, what our purpose is. And some of those numbers there, I think we need to double check. There's a number there for the number of properties we steward and the number of acres, and I don't think that's accurate anymore. I did toggle the number of properties by a couple because we picked up the one on Sanborn and the one down near the high school, so I bumped it by 2. I don't know if that's accurate, but so it's an annual report. Is it online? Is it someplace?
No, it's only with the town managers group.
Okay, so just so you know, it was done, and at some point, one of you can. It
Thank
actually,
you for doing that, Brian.
it actually
That's
is
a
a
lot of work.
Walt?
I could take a selfie.
yeah, that's what I should have done. No, actually. Yeah, anyway, so that just something to, it got done and was submitted on time. So then, the other thing I want to talk about, which we already alluded to, is changing the time, the default time for our site visits. It's been 9 o'clock on the Monday before a commission meeting for a long time. That was originally put in place because some commission members had kids to drop off at school, and 9 o'clock was the earliest they could make it. That's not true anymore.
Earlier the better.
So at this point, earlier the better, up to a point, it was good for other people too. Tony had suggested 8:30 even for the most recent one, was always at 8:30 to Mr. Rivers. So I'd like to get some agreement on whether 8:30 should be the number, if anybody wants to make.
Shit, Freddie lost. High school hockey team lost.
You just got the word.
Yeah, my son's watching the game
We recorded here.
at school.
You know, watch that language.
All right.
I should rebuke him. He's, because
I apologize
I'm gonna
for my
get a call
language.
from, I'm gonna get a call from RCTV. Someone's, no, I'm not getting,
So does anybody want to
someone else that wants to.
suggest a different time?
I can do 8:30. There was a time when we were doing
I can do
8:30.
whatever time you like.
Yeah, I know.
I can do 8:30, I can do 8.
Better for
A
you?
lot better, yeah.
Okay.
It's better is 8:35.
8 is probably 8:15 I could maybe make.
No, I'm not trying to push it that way. I just want to know.
No, 8 definitely not. 8:15 is,
So let's say 8:30.
8:30 is good.
8:30 will work. It's better to have.
8:30 is better for me.
Okay, so we are moving the default site visit time to 8:30, Monday before evening.
Okay,
All right. Having said that, is there anything else we need to discuss?
Well, we need to keep talking for at least another 8 minutes so we can go over 9
it's
o'clock.
supposed to be 8:30. You
Yes.
started there, it was supposed to be 8:30.
That was somebody talked to.
Ever been a thought of moving these meetings early?
So
Earlier than 7?
Yeah.
yeah, Wednesday.
We don't have to meet on Wednesday.
Most days.
Not to do the Brian thing, like, you know, try to continue the conversation, but,
Wow.
Or I could go later. I could go like 11 at night.
yeah, let's go at
Get the
11.
knife out of my back.
I move that we adjourn
Did we adjourn before I said that?
at 8:52.
Second.
That's good.
All in favor?
See you.
All right, we're adjourned.
Can you kill the recording?
RCTV,
Can you kill the
you've been
recording?
bad at shutting us off before, so please stop the video.